Let's get started with our first major headline, because this one has the entire MMA world buzzing. Sean Strickland has officially accepted the $40K challenge. Just yesterday, reports surfaced that Strickland had received a $40,000 offer to spar an online influencer who goes by the name HS TikToki. Now, this influencer had been running his mouth, saying Sean Strickland would be an easy win. He even went as far as to claim he'd DOEG walk him in the ring. Big words, considering we're talking about one of the most dangerous middleweights on the planet. Well, as of today, it looks like Strickland is on board and ready to test whether those words hold any real weight. The only complication is that HS TikToki is currently sidelined with an injury. His hand isn't fully healed yet, which means the sparring match won't be happening immediately, but that hasn't stopped him from stirring the pot online. In fact, he's already hyping up the matchup, dropping statements that are fueling speculation and getting fans talking non-stop. According to him, Sean Strickland has personally slid into his DMs, confirming that once the injury is healed, he'll fly out and make this sparring session happen. The influencer didn't just stop there. He doubled down. He boldly declared that after he beat Strickland in what he's calling a fair boxing match, using 16 to 18 ounce gloves, the world will finally see that he's the real deal. In his own words, "I'm not joking around. I'm here to stay in this scene. I'm not just here for a little bit. I'm here for good. All I did was mention one word about Strickland, and suddenly it's gone viral. It's breaking the internet. But it's not just going to be breaking the internet. I'm going to break his fate. I'm going to break his jaw the second this hand is healed." Those are some incredibly bold statements, especially when directed at someone like Sean Strickland, who is notorious for his relentless pressure and no-nonsense style inside the cage. Strickland isn't exactly the kind of guy you want to provoke with trash talk, because history has shown he's more than happy to put people in their place physically. Fans are split on this situation. On one hand, it could be nothing more than internet hype and influencer looking for clout by attaching his name to a UFC star. On the other hand, Strickland has never shied away from a fight, sparring or proving a point, so the fact that he actually accepted makes things much more interesting. Could this turn into a viral event that attracts mainstream attention, or will it fizzle out once the cameras stop rolling? Either way, one thing is clear: the influencer has succeeded in what he set out to do, get people talking. Whether or not he can actually back up his words against someone like Sean Strickland is a completely different story, but if this matchup really goes down, fans are guaranteed fireworks. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content. To earn your love and support, that's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Moving on, let's talk about Islam Makhachev roasting his mentor and close friend Daniel Cormier. Even though Makhachev has already kicked off his intense training camp for his upcoming fight, he still managed to find time to crack some jokes at Cormier's expense. Recently, Daniel Cormier was spotted inside the gym, putting in some solid work. As most fans know, Cormier has long been known for his decorated career as a former two-division UFC champion, as well as for his big personality outside the cage. But this time, the attention shifted to something a little more lighthearted. When footage surfaced of Cormier working out, Makhachev couldn't resist jumping in with a playful comment. He joked that Daniel Cormier doesn't actually train to fight, he trains to eat. That little jab had fans cracking up across social media. It was classic locker room banter between two close friends, and it showed another side of Makhachev's personality. While Makhachev is usually all business when it comes to training and fighting, moments like this reveal that he's relaxed, confident, and in great spirits heading into his next big challenge. Fans loved seeing this lighter side of him, especially considering how serious his training camps can get. Of course, everyone knows Daniel Cormier's legacy in the sport is already secure. The man has done it all, becoming both the light heavyweight and heavyweight champion in the UFC, defending belts and competing against some of the greatest fighters of all time. Even though jokes about his weight or love for food have always followed him, Cormier has never shied away from laughing at himself. That's one of the reasons why fans love him so much. He's relatable, approachable, and always willing to have a good time. For Makhachev, sharing this playful jab with his mentor shows the bond they share. After all, Cormier was one of the key figures who helped guide Islam during his early days in the UFC, training at the American Kickboxing Academy. Makhachev and Cormier spent countless hours on the mats together. That connection clearly remains strong, and fans are now getting to see it through these funny interactions. At the same time, this moment tells us something important about where Makhachev's head is right now. He's deep into training camp, sharpening his skills, and preparing to defend his place at the top of the lightweight division. Yet, he's still calm enough to joke around and enjoy the process. That balance of intensity and relaxation is exactly what makes champions last in this sport. And with training footage already starting to come out of his camp, fans can expect plenty more updates in the coming weeks. If Makhachev is this relaxed and playful now, you can bet he's locked in and ready to make another huge statement when fight night arrives. Now we move to the biggest controversy of the entire week, because Khamzat is facing major backlash after some brand new footage hit the internet. Earlier today, several clips emerged showing Khamzat back in Chechnya, where he was greeted warmly by both his father and Ramzan Kadyrov. At first glance, it might have looked like a simple homecoming moment, but what really set people off was what happened next. In the footage, Khamzat can be seen handing over his UFC championship belt directly to Kadyrov. The two posed together proudly with the belt in hand, smiling for the camera. What made it even more intense was that Khamzat continued doing interviews while still holding the belt beside Kadyrov, almost as if he had dedicated the victory to him personally. For a lot of fans, that crossed a line. The backlash was immediate and explosive. Social media lit up with criticism. Many fans and journalists pointed out that Ramzan Kadyrov is an extremely controversial figure, accused of human rights abuses and widely condemned internationally. To them, seeing a UFC star publicly handing over his belt to such a figure wasn't just uncomfortable, it was flat out unacceptable. Critics didn't hold back. Some accused Khamzat of becoming a tool in Kadyrov's political propaganda, helping to push an image of legitimacy and power through association with the UFC. Others went even further, questioning whether this could cause serious complications for Khamzat's fighting career moving forward. A few worried it might trigger new visa restrictions or travel issues, potentially slowing down the entire UFC middleweight division if Khamzat isn't able to compete freely. The disappointment spread quickly. Fans expressed outrage that the UFC belt, seen as a hard-earned symbol of sporting excellence, was now being displayed by someone accused of being a war criminal. One angry fan wrote online, "The same country and leader he sought asylum from in Sweden, he's now celebrating." Another added, "They hate Westerners, but they're happy to collect millions from Western fans to fund their wars." The harshest reactions came from those questioning Khamzat's personal choices. One comment that went viral read, "Guy can't even greet his own father first. Such a bad look for the UFC." Another wrote, "Blink twice if you need help." And perhaps the sharpest criticism came from someone who said, "Why is Kadyrov even carrying the belt? What's next? Are you going to take credit for the rain every time it falls?" Still, not every reaction was pure anger. Some fans voiced sympathy, suggesting that Khamzat might be caught in a situation where refusing Kadyrov isn't even an option. Others speculated that relocating permanently to the UAE or returning fully to Sweden might be his only way to avoid these types of controversies in the future. But overall, the reaction leaned heavily negative. For many people in the MMA world, this moment wasn't just about Khamzat himself. It reflected back on the UFC's global reputation. The belt being displayed in that context left a sour taste, and critics believe it could haunt both Khamzat's image and the organization's credibility for a long time to come. Shifting gears to another major headline, Rydar has officially responded to Khamzat's recent comments, and at the same time, his next fight has been revealed. After his massive win over Du Plessis earlier this summer, the surging middleweight contender is already set to step back into the Octagon this October. Dana White himself broke the news, confirming that Rydar will headline UFC Vancouver on October 18th in a 5-round main event against Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez. The fight will take place at Rogers Arena in Canada, and tickets are already generating major buzz. Dana summed it up perfectly when he said, "We're back in Vancouver October 18, and it's Rydar versus Fluffy Hernandez, two top middleweight contenders. I love this fight." This announcement couldn't have come at a better time. Rydar is currently ranked number 5 in the division. and has been on an absolute tear since arriving in the UFC. Fans will remember that before joining the promotion, he was already a 2-division champion and 1 championship, holding belts at both middleweight and light heavyweight. Since making the leap to the UFC, he hasn't lost a single fight, stacking up wins against some of the best in the division, including a dominant showing over Bo Nickel and a career-defining victory against former champion Robert Whittaker. Even more impressive, Radrar is setting a pace that few fighters in the modern era can match. This upcoming bout will mark his 5th fight of 2025 alone. In an era where most top contenders fight maybe twice per year, Radrar is putting in nearly double that workload. Dana White praised him publicly for it, saying, "I love guys that stay active, and it's not just activity, it's results." Every time he steps into the cage, Radrar looks sharper, more confident, and more dangerous than before. On the other side of the cage will be Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez, who's ranked number 6 and riding an incredible 8-fight win streak. Hernandez has become one of the most consistent finishers in the division. Just 2 weeks ago, he picked up a Performance of the Night bonus after putting away Roman. Out of his 15 career victories, 12 have come by way of finish, whether it's submissions or knockouts, which makes him a truly dangerous test for anyone at middleweight. But the build-up to this fight has extra heat thanks to Khamzat. Before the matchup was even announced, Khamzat made headlines by claiming that if he ever faced Radrar, he would make him look like a white belt on the ground. That's when Radrar fired back. In an interview with MMA Junkie, he confidently clapped back, "If I end up on the bottom, I'm fine. If I end up on top, I'm fine. I believe it could turn into a grappling fight for the ages. Our styles match up well, and I think it'll be awesome." He also emphasized that he's fully prepared to attack from anywhere, whether it's knees in the clinch, submission attempts off his back, or smothering top control. Hernandez, for his part, has also been vocal, saying he's not only ready for Radrar, but that he's already thinking about eventually facing Khamzat too. That's what makes this entire division so exciting right now. The middleweight top 10 is stacked with fresh faces, active contenders, and fighters who aren't afraid to speak up. The commentary team and analysts have also weighed in. Luke Rockhold and Joe Rogan both pointed out that Radrar might actually be the one guy at 18.5 who could give Khamzat real problems. Rockhold went as far as to say, "I don't like giving him too much credit, but I think Radrar is the #1 choice for that fight." Meanwhile, Dana White tempered expectations, admitting that Khamzat could be sidelined until 20. Still, with his most recent dominant performance, Khamzat cracked the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings, landing at number 4. All of this sets up Radrar versus Hernandez as one of the most important fights of the year, not just for rankings, but for the future of the division. Whoever wins on October 18 in Vancouver will be knocking on the door of a title shot, and with the cloud of Khamzat looming in the background, the stakes feel even higher. Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen discuss Khamzat's next possible opponent. After UFC 319, the entire MMA world is speculating on who poses the biggest threat to Khamzat's throne. Most fans are pointing at Radrar as the matchup they want to see, but with Radrar now booked against Hernandez, that fight won't be happening in October. Khamzat already said he wants to fight at UFC Abu Dhabi in October, but that rules both Radrar and Hernandez out. Brawlo and Nassourdine Imavov are booked for early September, which could technically allow a quick turnaround if the UFC calls, though it would be extremely short notice. History has shown that short notice fights can lead to legendary moments. Chael Sonnen reminded fans of his own case in 2012 when he stepped up to fight John Jones on 8 days' notice after Dan Henderson pulled out. Even though Jones turned it down, Sonnen eventually fought him later. Then there was Bisping, who shocked the world when he fought Luke Rockhold on just 17 days' notice and knocked him out to become champion. These stories prove that when the UFC comes calling, fighters sometimes step up despite the odds. Sonnen broke it down further, saying he loves the idea of Borohal getting the opportunity. He also noted that Imavov has shown flashes of real skill. Sonnen said, "The one who could truly be a problem, though, is Radrar." Khamzat respected Gilbert Burns' ground game, so much that he slowed down his grappling against him. Radrar has that same respect factor. He's dangerous from the bottom. Sonnen even mentioned that while it's a bit down the road, Sean Strickland could also be an interesting matchup if things align. Finally, another huge story just dropped, and this one shocked everyone. Reports are flying that Khamzat was actually taken down in sparring by none other than Ilia. That's right, Spanish MMA journalist Alvaro Canero lit up the MMA world by claiming that during a training session, Ilia successfully landed a takedown on Khamzat. According to Alvaro, this wasn't speculation, it wasn't a rumor, he said it was fact, he even teased that he had proof. The second that news hit social media, the MMA community went into overdrive. Within minutes, fans were debating whether this moment really meant something or if people were blowing it out of proportion. Some immediately jumped on the Ilia hype train, treating it like he had just won a 5-round main event. Others laughed it off and reminded everyone of the golden rule of fight gyms: it's just sparring. The debate got so heated that even the big voices in MMA media had to weigh in. Big John McCarthy and Josh Thompson dedicated nearly 30 minutes on their podcast just to this single story. Big John explained that sparring is very different from a real fight. In training, especially when a bigger, stronger fighter goes against a smaller one, it's not unusual to give them certain moments. Sometimes you let them land a strike, sometimes you let them complete a takedown. The reason is simple: it helps the smaller fighter sharpen their technique and gain confidence. According to Big John, that could be exactly what happened here. Khamzat may have allowed Ilia to hit that takedown as part of the training process. Still, McCarthy admitted one thing clearly: whether it was given or earned, it's still an impressive moment for Ilia. Not many fighters in the world can say they've put Khamzat on the mat in any scenario, even just sparring. For a featherweight to do it, that gets attention. As the clip and reports spread like wildfire, fans kept dissecting every angle. Was Khamzat caught off guard? Was it pure skill from Ilia? Or was it a courtesy takedown allowed by the bigger fighter? Everyone had their own interpretation, but one thing was undeniable: it had the entire MMA world talking. Big John summed it up with a powerful line: training can either sharpen iron or break iron, depending on who you're working with. And that really captured the point. Khamzat, who usually cuts down from a massive frame to fight at 85 or even 170, almost always has a huge size advantage over his training partners. But choosing to spar with someone like Ilia, fast, technical, and explosive, shows that he's deliberately putting himself in uncomfortable situations. It's how great fighters sharpen their edges. So whether the takedown was handed over or fully earned, this story created absolute buzz across MMA media. It reminded fans that behind the bright lights and big arenas, these fighters push themselves in the gym with battles we rarely get to see. And with that, what a wild stretch of MMA news it's been. Sean Strickland's $40K sparring challenge, Islam Makhachev roasting Daniel Cormier, Khamzat facing backlash for his ties with Kadyrov, Rod Dar getting booked against Fluffy Hernandez, Chael Sonnen breaking down Khamzat's future options, and now Ilia's surprising takedown in sparring. Each story has had fans debating, speculating, and staying glued to the sport we love. Because at the end of the day, the MMA world never slows down. Every single week brings new drama, shocking controversies, and unforgettable moments that keep us all hooked.